Ahead on our news tonight, the family of a murder victim crying out for justice. BPL says goodbye to two top executives, but get this, the company's union is rejoicing. And an unusual and somewhat controversial appointment at the Ministry of National Security. This is our news. I'm Jerome Sawyer. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, police have another murder investigation on their hands at this hour. A 24-year-old man is gunned down in Gamble Heights today. His family admitting he was no saint, but tonight they want justice for his death. Our Jared Higgs picks up the story from here.
The man who was gunned down outside Gamble Heights today is 24-year-old Kevin Andrews, according to his relatives. Police press liaison Superintendent Audley Peters says officers were called to the scene on Sunrise Road and Blue Hill Road shortly after 12 noon.
The preliminary investigations in this matter is that the male was at the stall when he was approached by two males who exited a small vehicle brandishing firearms. Those males discharged those weapons at that victim, fatally injuring him.
Andrew's furious family members told reporters that he wasn't a saint and that he had been in jail twice. He also was scheduled to return to court soon for a gun matter. His mother, Teresa Andrews, says she refused to cloak him and bad company often led him astray. Peters was asked whether Andrews' killing could have been gang-related.
That is a possibility. We won't rule that out, because as we get the information and we correlate that information, that conclusion would be made, whether this was gang-related or in connection with some other incident.
But the victim's mother says she didn't tolerate any of her 5 sons being in gangs. She says she much preferred if he were in prison than where he is now. Meanwhile, with police confiscating an AK-47 in the area just a day prior to this murder, Peters says they are reclassifying the area.
For the moment, based on the signs we're seeing and the activities in this area, we're considering it a hotspot because of the arrest yesterday and other information that is coming to our knowledge.
According to our news records, Andrew's killing was the 46th homicide for the year. Reporting for our news, I'm Jared Higgs.
Well, some breaking news. We are following reports of yet another murder tonight. Police are on the scene on Joe Farrington Road, and you can get the very latest on this unfolding story by visiting the R News Bahamas Facebook page. Police also investigating a woman's allegations of rape and assault around midday Monday off of Prince Charles Drive. Police press liaison officer Superintendent Audley Peters giving details of that incident today.
I can verify today that we are indeed investigating a rape and a assault matter, and that's as far I'm going to go with respect to that information because of some intricacies that we want to keep anonymous.
How recent did it happen?
It happened day before yesterday.
And I know you said you won't give any more information, but what area did it take place in?
This took place off Prince Charles.
And the board at BPL looking to fill 2 top spots at the power company after announcing the resignation of CEO Whitney Hasty and HR Director Evis Missick today. A board statement confirming the departures and getting the thumbs up from the Bahamas Electrical Workers Union today as well. President Kyle Wilson talking to our news and explaining why his members are happy with the announcement.
To me, to be honest with you, there seems to be elation by the workers. Over the past 2 years, you've seen many publicized actions by the union requesting change in the company, especially with the human resource department, as a lot of workers feel it was not servicing the workers or not servicing the company properly, and it was basically somewhat inhumane, more or less.
In an interview with our news just the day before, Wilson expressing concern with decisions made by the management team, which he blames on the weekend power outages. Today, more of the same.
Look at this past weekend. It is my view that the bad decisions made by these executives would have led to many of these issues, especially when we have that Wadzilla plant, where a lot of the Bahamian funds were pumped into that plant and we're not getting service properly for it. And so it's frustrating. And so when you have issues like this constantly, you're with your family, you're trying to enjoy a holiday, power outage. It's frustrating. And so because of that, I'm happy to see that these persons who are not making, in my opinion, decisions in the best interest of the Bahamian people being removed.
It's back to the drawing board for government for citizenship legislation. Attorney General Ryan Pinda confirming today that a bill previously crafted under the former Minnis administration is being scrapped for a new bill that will allow Bahamian men and women to pass on citizenship in all circumstances. Our Jasmine Brown tells us more tonight.
The citizenship issue has been one that's been tossed back and forth between successive governments for years. However, the AG is insisting that the Davis administration is the one that will get the job done.
There's going to be a new bill. Now, some of the concepts in that bill will be utilized. But if you would have seen that bill, I don't know if you saw it, about 111 pages long, and addressed a number of different issues related to immigration. And so, you know, we think a better approach is to do an issue-by-issue approach rather than what we would have seen in the bill.
The AG's comments during the weekly OPM press briefing confirms that the Davis-led government has no plans for the previously drafted nationality, immigration, and asylum bill as it is. Immigration Minister Keith Bell said 2 months ago it was under review. The bill was initially drafted by the Law Reform Commission headed by Dame Anita Allen in 2018. It would have repealed the Bahamas Nationality Act and the Immigration Act and also outlines provisions for migrants seeking asylum in the country. When asked if he was concerned that taking the legislative route could mean legal troubles for the government, the AG said this.
No. And if they take us to court, they take us to court. Everybody takes the government to court these days. Doesn't mean they're right.
The issue of citizenship has been back in the headlines in recent weeks after former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram addressed the hot-button topic. Ingram acknowledged that his administration's attempt, which involved constitutional changes, was the hard way of bringing this change. A 2016 referendum to address this matter and others concerning the ability of Bahamians to pass on their citizenship to children and spouses was overwhelmingly rejected by voters. A similar exercise in 2002, when Ingram served as Prime Minister, was also rejected.
We have failed twice to change the Constitution. And it is an important element of equality of our people that they see themselves equal amongst each other. And if that means doing it by legislation, that's what it means.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, you may want to hold off on flipping the switch on your AC units. Another cool night in store for us, it seems. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center.
Welcome everybody for our first look at weather on this breezy Thursday evening. Temperatures in the mid-70s, 76, comfortable, but very cloudy out there. Well, partly cloudy and breezy. East-northeast winds at 20 miles per hour, and they are gusting higher. And your feels-like temperature very comfortable, 72 degrees on the outside. Satellite view, weak frontal boundary across the central Bahamas, but that persistent upper level low is spinning near the southeast Bahamas, still triggering some showers across the Turks and Caicos Islands, Inagua, as well as the Aucklands and Crooked Island. High pressure behind that is generating some very strong winds, and that's bringing in some Atlantic moisture in the form of some small showers. We will continue to experience that tonight through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Well, still to come tonight, PAHO warns the pandemic is not over, and a national security appointment attracts some heat. That's coming up when our news returns.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamika.
You are watching our news. A popular radio and TV host is heading to the Ministry of National Security as a consultant. His new role may or may not surprise you. Our Sasha Lightbourne fills us in.
There are questions that need answers, according to former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis.
As Mr. Rodney Munker being hired as consultant on crime, you don't know yet. You're hearing it for the first time. If he has been hired, which ministry has he been hired to work for? You don't know yet either. Did the Minister of National Security What disappointment? I know you had hell with that. What is Mr. Munker's role and his list of responsibilities and duties? The Beeman public want to know.
Dr. Minnis asked the questions in the House of Assembly on Wednesday as he wrapped up his contribution on a compendium of bills on the criminal justice system. Today, Communications Director in the Office of the Prime Minister, Latre Raming, confirming Munker has been hired as a consultant in the Ministry of National Security. His role? Helping with community policing.
We believe, the administration believes, that in order to solve community crimes, you have to use people from the community who understand the dynamics of the community, who understand the gangs in the community. I could certainly say that Mr. Munker has been a proponent and advocate on crime for years, particularly a proponent of the death penalty.
Raming says the government's aim is to help decrease crimes in the inner city community by forging ties with community partners.
We have to have the appreciation that crime goes to exceeds policing. The issue of crime means using persons who are familiar with the community, who could reach people like ordinarily me and Travis cannot reach. I think Rodney Munker, in that experience, know the people on the ground, know the issues on the ground, and knows what's impacting the community.
Now, while Raming did confirm Munker's post as a consultant here at the Ministry of National Security, he could not confirm his start date or his salary. Reporting for our news, I'm Sasha Lightbourne.
Thanks much, Sasha. Although our neighbours to the north have dropped the mask mandate on air travel and in most public spaces, the Pan American Health Organization is warning that the COVID-19 pandemic is not over yet. Christina Dragovich has the story.
COVID-19 pandemic is not yet over. Variants of concern continue to circulate, and we may see a resurgence of cases and deaths at any time.
Pan American Health Organization Director Dr. Carissa Etienne encouraging all countries in the Americas to continue wearing masks, among other public health measures, even during periods of low COVID transmission. Dr. Etienne says in the Americas, new COVID cases are down nearly 2.3% compared to the prior week, while deaths are 15.2% down compared to the previous week. However, cases increased in North America, particularly in Canada, where the country saw hospitalizations rise by more than 20% with the spread of the Omicron BA.2 variant.
The World Health Organization's Emergency Committee last week declared that the COVID-19 pandemic still constitutes an extraordinary event that continues to adversely affect the health of populations around the world and poses an ongoing risk of international spread and interference with international traffic and requires a coordinated international response.
Dr. Etienne says we are still in a public health emergency of international concern, and countries should be prepared to scale up restrictions quickly if the rates of hospitalizations and deaths rise. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism Chester Cooper yesterday indicated Cabinet would review public health measures, including mask wearing in the Bahamas. PAHO Director of Emergencies Dr. Ciro Ugarte weighs in.
Decision makers in each country should apply a risk-based approach. When considering the use of masks, for example, for the general public, regardless of vaccination or natural immunity status, in areas of known or suspected community or cluster transmission.
Just keeping the numbers in context for you, there were 9 new cases of COVID-19 reported in the Bahamas today. Hospitalizations also standing at 7. Well, later on, the heartwarming story of a 4-year-old autistic hero who needs your help. And our Marcellus Hall is up with the latest in sports when our news returns.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamik.
Certainly has been a busy few days for the sporting federations in the country. Our Marcellus Hall is here with the very latest in our sports tonight.
All right, thanks a lot. Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. It's nothing like a return home, especially if it's a triumphant one. And that's exactly what our swim team faced when they returned home from yet another championship at this year's Carifta Swim Championships. The team coming home to a hero's welcome. Let's take a look. A triumphant return to home soil for our Carifta Swim team. Team returning from the island of Barbados after winning its fourth consecutive Carifta Swim Championship to a hero's welcome. Family and friends, as well as a number of government officials, including the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, the Honorable Mario Boleg, on hand to welcome them home. The team then whisked over to the Thomas A. Robinson Stadium, where they were entertained and once again congratulated for their performance along with the Bahamas' track and field team at a joint celebration. Well earned and well deserved. Also from sports, Jazz Chisholm and the Miami Marlins were in action yesterday. Marlins trying to get on the winning track. They took on the St. Louis Cardinals, and this one a good game all the way to the ninth inning before the Cardinals take advantage of a home run by Nolan Arenado, a two-run shot in the ninth. That gave the Cardinals a 2-0 win. As for Jazz, he went 1 for 3 on the evening. Marlins will play again tonight. They take on that very same Cardinals team. That game will come your way in case you're wondering. Later on this evening, we'll give you scores and details on Jazz's performance later on tonight. And there it is, your check on sports for you here on this Thursday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you. It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
Our Greg Thompson is still to come with the extended weather forecast tonight, and we're still going to bring you that story of the 4-year-old autism hero in need of your help. All that when our news returns.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamik.
Looks like the chance of thunderstorms getting greater and greater. Greg is back in the Weather Center with a look ahead.
Welcome back, everybody, for our second look at weather. That high-pressure ridge to the north of us generating some very strong winds across the area. Hazardous beaching and boating for all of the islands most of the day. That persistent upper level low near the southeast Bahamas still generating a couple isolated showers and thunderstorms across that area. The Turks and Caicos Islands, you're getting in on the weather picture as well. That high will continue to be with us for the rest of the week and into the weekend. Still generating some very strong winds. It won't be until about Sunday, maybe Monday, before winds start to relax a little bit. But that high will continue to bring in some low-level moistures in the form of some small showers. So looking for those throughout the remainder of the week and into the weekend. Boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight to tomorrow. An advisory still in place for you. We're asking you boaters, if you don't need to be out there on the waters, stay in port. Northeasterly winds at 20 to 25 knots, very rough seas at 5 to 9 feet over the open waters. Yellow tide is at 6:22 tonight. For the southeast Bahamas, a caution flag for you down there. Northeasterly winds becoming more north to northeast tomorrow, 15 to 20 knots, and they will be gusting at times. Your seas will be running 4 to 7 feet over the open waters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through next Thursday. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe night, everybody.
Finally tonight, it's the kind of news no parent ever wants to hear. A child diagnosed with a developmental disorder. But it's an opportunity for triumph during Autism Awareness Month. Tonight, we share the story of a 4-year-old autism warrior in need of your help. Like other 4-year-olds, Sari Ominsky Jr. is not a fan of haircuts. Otherwise, he's a happy kid. But he experiences the world differently. His mother, Tarinda Francis, says he hit his milestones up to 16 months, but when he wasn't responding, she knew it was time to get a second opinion.
I noticed that he wasn't responding to his name. And I was a little, doctors were saying, oh, well, he's deaf. But when I used to turn on the Cocomelon and the Bob the Train and stuff, people just, look at those items.
A year ago, he was diagnosed with mild to moderate autism.
The problem we're having is communication. It's affecting his communication between his parents, actually. It's hard when you don't know what your child wants. He's not like a regular child who points and say, okay, I want food, I want something to drink, mommy, I'm hurt. He's not communicating in any way like that. And, it hurts me, as a parent when you can't help your child. You don't know. He cries and he makes a bunch of noise. Sometimes when you can't get that attention, he bangs his head against the walls and stuff and all of that. It's very disturbing.
A traumatic episode led her online to the Arizona-based Innate Healthcare Institution offering stem cell treatment.
After looking at his videos and the doctor said it's best we try to get him over there quickly because his brain is growing every day. So his communication will increase, his non-verbal and verbal communication will actually increase.
It's a $12,000 treatment, but only just recently re-employed and with no medical insurance, Francis is raising the money on her own.
I've been trying to raise some money through cash donations. At my work, a lot of my coworkers have been as they start to hear my story, they're starting, and I'm actually finding more parents actually have more autistic kids, and they're actually trying to push me to do it because they want to seek the same treatment for their kids as well. Donations to his medical fund can be made to RBC, Bank of the Bahamas, or Island Luck. Now, to find out how you can help Sari, be sure and visit the Our News Bahamas Facebook page. Well, thank you for joining us on Our News Tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Jerome Sawyer. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night, all for an all-new episode of On the Record. Stay tuned. It's coming up next.